average, how long does it take to make a lot of money? Now, I would really want to talk about the freelance world that is out there from your perspective, because I feel like the book, first of all, like congratulations, it's a great, like the title says, or you are like the ultimate guide to freelancing world and how to make a lot of money. So let's start from there, because that's the hook, a lot of money. That's where people get hooked up.
Yeah.
On average, if there is an answer to this, on average, how long does it take to make a lot of money? If,
Okay. So so a lot of money is very subjective. So it
yes,
also depends on
it does.
what you consider a lot of
Yeah.
money. Uh, so when I wrote this book, so for for the uninitiated, the book is called "Stop Working for Peanuts."
Mm-hmm.
This is the guide for anyone who wants to get into the freelance world, wants to become a freelancer. Even if you are a beginner and you're doing a job, the rules and the book still applies to you, will help you a lot. Um, Now talking about your answering your question, when I say a lot of money, it is in comparison with what a majority of people are making in their jobs when they start off. So my problem with the whole corporate world or the job world, and again, I don't want to demonize it. Uh, I have built my career through jobs. I have got all my learning through jobs. So for people who love doing it, who enjoy learning through the jobs, it's great for them. But what's the next step? So a lot of people, if you're like me, uh, you would want to diversify your income sources. And one of the things that I always advise is to not rely on a single source of income,
Especially
because
today.
world,
Yeah.
especially today, the world is so unpredictable.
Yes.
The times are so unpredictable that you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Never.
Um,
Especially during the times that are like we're going through right now. I don't know when is one person is gonna watch that, but right now we are going through COVID-19, and it's like nobody predicted it 3 months ago, and it
yeah,
would really pay off to have a secondary source of payment right now.
yeah.
Like,
It's appalling the number of people whose careers have been affected. Uh, I have I have friends and acquaintances in India and in other countries whose companies have shut down, whose companies have laid them off, and this you don't get to hear a lot of that in the news, but it's a real thing. It's going on, and a microscopic entity has done that to the industry, to people's careers. So do you want to shape your career in a way that any unseen entity can come and disrupt it, or do you want to create your career in a way where even if one income source stops, there are other things that are out there to pass support you through the time till you recuperate your income sources. And that's the premise of the book. Um, money is a byproduct. Money will come if you're doing anything right. Why it's on the cover of the book that I have launched? Because I know this is the hook that is going to catch people's attention.
yes. True.
I'm very honest about it,
Yes.
because if I only wrote that this book is going to teach you the best ways to freelance and
Yeah. Yeah. No. Nobody.
diversify your income sources, nobody is going to pick it up. But when
Yes.
I and that's the problem with people right
And I
now.
feel it's
And
all right. You're just telling them what they want to listen. So I am pretty much
yeah,
sure you know about Ty Lopez, right? So he actually boomed up with the video. Here is my garage. Like you can see the Lamborghini, and don't pay
yeah,
attention to the Lamborghini. There are thousands of book also inside. So
yeah.
that's how you actually get their attention, and it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. But I would really recommend to anyone who wants to have a secondary source of income in their own industry, or anywhere, if you want to just start out, have your hands dipped in other industry. If you're unhappy with yours, now you know you've been like, for someone who is working for, like, let's say a couple of years in an industry and is really, like, fed up, and he wants to try something else, so he can just do it part time, hustle mode, going to the book, reading it. It's a great book. I would recommend it to anyone. I was actually, when I finished reading it, it took me like, it won't take like for me it took me like 2.5 hours around that. And I was immediately I wanted to send it to 10 people, but I couldn't, of course, because it's not there in the public right now. But I'll put like, as long as you provide me the link, I'll put it down.
Yeah.
SNS. I would want to talk about the mental state of to become a freelancer, because I feel that's where we cannot define anything. There's no
Yeah.
procedure, right? So self-learning part of it, like I feel if you're not motivated, if you're not that guy who wants to get into the stuff, who just wants to lay off and have money,
Yeah.
like that part of it, because a lot of people think it's a freelancing world is like that. So if you
Yeah.
can touch how to develop self-learning approach, it's not there. School is not teaching us that.
Yeah. So, so freelancing can be done in any industry or any stream that you are currently in. It's important to identify what your core competencies are, what your skill set is. So, if you are a great search engine optimization professional or a paid advertising professional, and you love doing it, that's the skill.
Yes.
So,
And
the
it doesn't.
only
What I liked about it is it doesn't have to be digital. Like I have this friend who is doing into the interior designing world. Like he's a freelancer.
absolutely. So, what is freelancing? Freelancing basically is doing, if you're doing a job and you are performing a certain, activities for your organization, you have to do the same thing, but without a commitment to a single organization. You can do it for multiple organizations, and you can charge each of them based on the kind of work you are doing. So there is no monthly salary that is fixed for you. So even if you do more work, you get more. You don't get more salary just because you did more work. You have a fixed salary, right?
Yeah.
And just because you did good work doesn't mean you're always going to get paid in the right proportion.
True.
You're going to get an appraisal which is going to be 5%, 10%, 12%, which is going to be according to the industry standards as
Yeah.
what your company
Yeah.
would tell you. If you're anyone who wants to break out of these rigid rules that come as a part of the corporate life, then freelancing is the right choice for you. If you feel you are really skilled in anything, uh, it could even be writing, it could be designing, it could be painting. If you feel you are great with any of those skills, so all you have to do is uh, start leveraging these skills for your own benefit rather than an organization's benefit. So that's the premise behind freelancing. Apart from the skill set, there are a few more things that you need, in my belief, and this comes from my conversation with numerous freelancers which I had. I interviewed a lot of freelancers while writing this book,
Yes.
and there are a few common elements that came from each conversation. There is a certain level of risk appetite that you need to have. If
Yeah.
while freelancing gives you the freedom of making as much money as you could based on your talent, it also
Yeah.
means that if there are also some responsibilities that come along with it. For instance, if you are in a job, even if you are not working to your best abilities, if you are not delivering your project, you're still going to get a salary at the end of the month.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Makes sense.
freelancing is your business. If you're not delivering 100%, if you're not going all the way out, that's going to impact whatever you earn. And unlike salary, if if you don't make the right project deliveries, if you don't make the right impression, the 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 impact you get in freelancing could be a long-term impact,
Yes.
because
Makes
you're
sense.
dealing with real clients who might like you, who might not like you as a person, who might like your project delivery or not like you.
Yes.
So unlike salary, which is going to still be consistent over the year, freelance, your revenues that come from freelancing are not. So you need to have that appetite, you have to have that right mindset, where this is the freelancing is it's not a hobby. It has to be it's a real career option. And if I had to give you an example of some freelancers around you, you might
I
not
would
know.
like to touch the self-learning part, like how to develop it actually, like because current education system, or maybe I don't know, before also, they were not incorporating the people to actually learn. As we were talking on that day also, we are meant to be spoon-fed. Like we are have they have designed us to be spoon-fed. How to come out of that? If there is a certain mindset that okay, or practice practical steps that we have to take to come out of that?
So, I mean, see, there is a reason why we are calling it self-learning, because it depends on each person. Like, the problem with the academic system is that the problem waiting to be solved, that the academic system has to treat everyone as, as a similar entity. All students are the same for them. We are yet to reach a point where each curriculum could be customized as per, the student.
Long
So
way
that
to
doesn't
go.
happen. Yeah, long way to go. So that's where the self-learning bit comes into the picture. Your question is, how do you inculcate that
Yes,
self-learning? How
yes.
do you do that self-learning? So for anything that you want to learn yourself, the first step is self-awareness. Again, ask the question to yourself. Like sometime back, I talked about. Ask yourself the question: what is it that you like? What is your core competency is? Now, based on that answer, that is where let's say my core competency is digital marketing.
That's
I
it.
love digital marketing, right? I love living and breathing digital marketing. I love advertising. Now, I would start looking at the skills that come along with digital marketing. If I want to become, so who are freelancers? These are experts who are not working for any company, but they are experts and want to fly solo.
For someone who is doing a full-time job, he hates it and now wants to try something else in the digital marketing stuff. So now when he comes home at 7 o'clock in the evening, he needs to learn first and or apply. I'm considering both of that in that. So, and for that you need a lot of self-awareness, as you said, why I want to do it. Can I see myself doing it for next 30-40 years? But now I'm clear, like I want to do it, but you need that push. Like, do you have that practical things that one can actually implement? Okay, I get back at my home at 7 o'clock. Now what do? I don't have any motivation. Like, I just really don't want to do it. I don't want to take. Yeah. So after that, practical steps. So if there is any that you have seen in people or maybe have tried it by yourself.
So, if somebody doesn't really have the motivation to do anything more, then I don't think freelancing is the right career choice for them. Freelancing, even if it begins as a side hustle, it needs you to have extreme passion towards, that particular industry, that skill. You have to be religiously devoted to that.
And passion includes them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And there's another, since you mentioned, a lot of people are unhappy with their jobs, and we keep talking to people, and most of the people, they, my job is so boring. What am I doing there? What am I doing in that cubicle? So
Yes, and if I include students, I hate my studies.
I hate my studies. So students, I want, and there is this new glamour behind dropping out recently.
Yes.
People feel that just because they have dropped out, that puts them in the same league as Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. They don't realize that those people dropped out from Harvard and similar schools. So honestly, number one, if you are not motivated enough, then do not take the plunge. If you are going to start something that is going to shape up your entire life and impact your life for years to come, you better be motivated. Yeah. Another thing that I want to bring up is you have to jump in. If you want to become a freelancer, you have to jump into it for the right reasons. Do not jump into it from a point of negativity where you hate something that is point A, and just because you hate point A, you want to go to point B. That's not how you make career decisions.
Yes.
You go to point B because you really want to go at point B, and point A is not somewhere you want to be at. So if you want to get into freelancing, you have to have the right motives behind it, and it has to come from a positive place, not a negative place.
The other part of it is the thing that is like, I can call it a factual problem, that is convincing your parents, because it's not the traditionally accepted thing.
Yeah.
So like, how to actually convince your, if you have like consulted someone or maybe experienced it by yourself, Because for someone who is doing it after the job, that is, I feel, is all right, because you're already doing something that system wants you to do.
Yeah.
And but for someone who actually want to start as a freelancer in their career, how would they convince their parents?
Okay, so it's tricky because each person's parents are different. So in the book Stop Working for Peanuts, there are 4 interviews of these successful freelancers, and I asked them the same question: how was it, tackling with your parents when you decided to become a full-time freelancer? So each person had a different story. Somebody's parents were really supportive.
For sure.
Somebody's parents were, and parents-in-law if they're married. So they have 2 sets of parents now to deal with. So,
Yeah.
so that doubles the problems. And you're right. It's not a traditional career path that is acceptable
Yes.
for everyone, because number one, it takes away the security of a job.
Totally.
So my suggestion to
And
anyone,
we are assuming the jobs are safe.
yeah, that's the assumption, right?
Yeah.
So my recommendation to anyone who wants to get into freelancing and is creating a strategy on how to do it, parents and your family support is a very important part here, because you might feel that all right, I'm just going to say that I don't want to, I'll do whatever I want, but if you are going to live with them for the next, if you're not moving out of your parents' house and you're going to be staying with them, their buy-in is pretty important, because they, how parents are, they are going to keep reminding you that, and especially when, let's say, the things don't go as planned, you would need your family support at that time. The family support also matters, taking you through the hard times, because you need that positivity around you to keep going. So make sure that you have the buy-in. Now, how to get that buy-in? One of the best things in my experience to convince your parents is to show them the results before telling them you want to get into it full time. What do okay, so why are the parents, your
They
parents
want the best for us.
Yeah. They want the best for us, right? If they feel that, okay, you're taking an uncalculated risk and you're not prepared for it, you might not succeed as you plan to be, they're going to try to bring you back to a more secure, career path. If you demonstrate them the results that, hey, let's say you're doing a job or are a student and you start freelancing as a side hustle, and you start, you demonstrate your commitment towards it, your dedication towards it, and then you also start demonstrating the results, which in this case would be money. Yeah. If you have that case study ready to present in your, you think of it like a presentation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, create a portfolio not just for clients but also for your parents.
For your parents, it's more important than your clients, because your parents is the first buy-in. If you can sell it to your parents, you can sell it to anyone.
Makes sense. Although the next question revolves around this. Although one can learn from the book everything about freelancing, but if you can just tell it in like 2 minutes, what are the skills that one do not need a degree for and go for freelancing? Because a lot of students who hate their degree. So I'm getting in touch with most of the engineers, but I get in touch with other people also. But they hate and they want to just change it. They are asking like, if I'm like talking their language, मैं क्या सीखूं and मुझे पैसे कमाने हैं, so that I don't have to hate this. First of all, we have like covered like self-awareness and all of that. But what are those skills that I actually can consider? If I'm really confused, I don't have any idea. Like, I haven't done anything beyond the school stuff. So what are the things? Names 3 or 4 of them, and just a little bit of step-by-step process how to go about it.
Okay. So let's cover the prerequisites that you need to be good in something before you can get into freelancing. This is your core skill that you will be using to, and this is the skill that you will be selling to clients, to people. It could be writing, it could be graphic design, it could be paid advertising, it could be copywriting, it could be anything. Now, once this is out of the way, now comes all the other skills that you require to be a successful freelancer.
Mutual, like it is needed by everyone.
yeah, it's going to be generic no matter what core skill that you are choosing. uh, think of freelance as a company, as a full business which has multiple departments. The problem is you are the only employee in all those departments. That's what freelancing is. So, if I had to name a few skills, the first one would be networking, because freelance requires you to network with people, convince them, and bring them on board as clients. So, number one is networking. You need to do your outreach to people. You need to, if you are a shy introvert person, you will have to train yourself how to do those cold emails, cold calls. So, number one skill, don't be shy, pick up the phone or send that email.
Start dialing.
Yeah.
Like that's the famous dialogue from Wolf of the Wall Street. Pick
Yeah.
up the phone and
Pick up
start.
And I mean that's been the truth. If you don't pick up the
Yes.
phone,
Yes.
what will happen if you pick up the phone and call someone up, send a cold email?
They will say no.
They would say no. They would probably ignore.
Yes.
But what will happen if you don't make that call? You will definitely not get that project.
Yes. True.
So that's the first skill. The second skill is you need to understand that business, a freelance business or any form of business, is more than just you delivering good work. A lot of business and recurring business comes from relationships. So relationship building is an extremely important part of your freelance business, which means that you have to be a pleasant person for the people you are dealing with, the clients you are dealing with,
Be humble. Be honest. That's it.
and be likable.
Yeah. And do not even plan to con someone.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. So if let's say if there is a client who wants to give out a project and there are 5 people or 3 people applying for the same project, there are 3 freelancers, and all 3 of them have similar work, and all 3 of them have met the client. Now the decision will be based. Now since everyone is on the same level, the let's say they are all charging the same, they all have a similar portfolio. The difference that would come is who does the client like dealing with the most.
True.
If you are likable for your client, and that is something. So I've been in agency space. I have worked with so many brands and clients, and I've realized that closing a business, 50% of closing a business is the work, the presentation that you give. The other 50% is if that person on the other side liked you as a person and can imagine talking to you and dealing with you every day or not.
True.
That's 50% of it.
It's true.
Yeah.
So the one thing is, you said communication, networking skills. Right. The second thing is like being likable, coming out of the your comfort zone. If I can put it that way, if you're an introvert, you have to jump in the sea to actually start learning all of that. The third skill would be
The third skill is you have to be extremely wary of what you are committing to the client, and your ultimate objective in life then has to become to deliver that project to the highest quality in the time that you have committed. That is, honor your commitments. One of the biggest problems that because the freelance industry is so unstructured, one of the biggest problems is freelancers commit something and then don't honor their commitments. So what happens in that case is can you hear me?
yeah.
So what happens in those scenarios is clients don't get the deliveries on time. They lose trust on you, they lose confidence in you, and what that does is that impacts your freelance business for the future. The client might not come back to you. Another problem that comes along with it is the industry is really small, so people talk to people. So if you have delivered a bad experience to a client, that might reach 10-15 more people in no time. So make commitments accordingly.
And on the also on the other hand, if you do the best to your client, like the industry is very small, the world is small, so he would actually recommend you instead of saying no.
Absolutely.
So yeah, makes a lot of sense. So those 3 things, I get it. But the only thing that I want to add on it is like you cannot be like, there is no point. The way I look at it, there is no point where you can actually be sure that, okay, now I got these 3 skills, now let me jump into the industry. But you just need to keep these things in your mind and jump into the industry and you just evaluate yourself and learn by actually doing that, like when we talk about before.
Exactly.
So that is the step-by-step process. Figure out the skill, and for that there are many ways, right? You can actually use that binge watching concept and then learning and applying. So figure out your skill, then get this mentality to actually always be learning, and then you just start doing it, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole concept. You mentioned this thing in the book that we need to document our journey, either in the blog form, either in the video form, either like and keep getting in touch with the clients also, the people that we are mentioning. Like I've talked this about you and all of that. Just have a look and all. Why documenting is important. Like I know for a freelancer point of view, this is the new thing that I have heard. I know how to create a portfolio. That's also documented, but that's professional documentation.
Yeah.
But to create a to actually document your life, that's a new kind of Gary Vee thing, like that is there. But like, how do you actually look at it?
Okay, so the context of documenting it doesn't really mean that you have to document your life completely. And I mean, it's good that you brought Gary Vee up in the conversation, and he has his reasons of saying all those things, but I'm not sure if that's a possibility for everyone to do. He talks about creating 50-60 pieces of content every day. If you are going to be a new freelancer and you are working 15-16 hours a day, I'm not sure if you can, you're not a content creator, so you can get into a content creation on scale when you have that kind of time in the future. But when you start off, number one, you have to deliver your projects at the commitments. Like I said, you have to deliver on your commitments. The reason why I said, when I say documentation, it doesn't mean documenting what you ate in the morning. I'm going for a client meeting. You don't have to do all that. But if you have delivered a successful project, could you discuss with your client? And this is something, it's not new. Agencies have been doing this for ages now. Now, if you can ask your client and they are on board with this thing that, hey, can I build a case study around this project? So how does a case study form? It starts with the problem statement, the problem that client had. Let's say they needed a certain campaign to increase the footfalls in their physical store. Let's say this is the problem statement. The next thing is, how did you come up with a solution? The next thing is, how did you execute the solution? And the next thing would be, what were the results? Now this is a case study, and it is a documentation of the work you have done. Now imagine you have a restaurant client and you build a case study for a restaurant client that you have served. If you could document that as a case study, put it up on your blog or website, and then use that link and send it out to other restaurant owners who might be facing a similar problem in the industry. Now what this does is, it projects you as a thought leader, as a pioneer, and it shows that you are actually a problem solver for someone in their industry. So if you are working with different industries and you could start building case studies around each industry, it could be FMCG, retail, it could be hospitality, and each of these industries. Now that the documentation, the case studies that you have built, these will serve as substantiating your sales pitch that you are going to do to your prospective clients, because you have it's showing that you are not just talking theory, you have actually done the implementation.
And it can be a free one, like just do right? So before asking the last question, I just want to ask, where can someone who wants to learn from you, who wants to be connected with you, where can someone find you? I approached you on Instagram, so I'm gonna definitely link your Instagram down there, but what are the other places where one can text?
So my Instagram account, where I talk a lot about digital marketing and advertising, it's called Young Urban Project. This is a small project that I started 3 months back. This is about sharing digital marketing, branding, advertising knowledge with people. I'm putting out a lot of free resources that will help, and
Definitely
the,
second.
yeah. So there are a lot of free templates, tools, and resources that I keep building, and I'm putting them out. One of the things that I keep talking about is, if you are messaging me on Instagram, you will definitely get a response back from me. If you comment on any of the posts, you will definitely. I'm out there. Wanting to talk to people, wanting to discuss. If you have problems in your if you have queries about your career, about digital marketing, about advertising, or any of those things, or business in general, please feel free to have a conversation with me. Just DM me on Young Urban Project. I will respond back to you.
Great. So the last question will be the reverse one, like why not to be a freelancer? Like I know about the cons, like so there are cons mentioned in the book, but you can actually read it there.
Yeah.
But what would be someone's arguments about not being a freelancer, or have you ever encountered a person that have moved to freelancing world but then didn't feel good and moved back to the being an employee?
Yeah. So I have met a lot of people, and I keep interviewing a lot of people who decided to get into freelancing, but due to reasons, it didn't work out, or it wasn't as great as they imagined it to be, and they have jumped back to an employment, a job. And nothing against them. I mean, everyone has the right to choose their own journey. There are people who went into freelancing and killed it there, succeeded immensely. There are people who tried freelancing, didn't succeed there, came back to the job and killed it in the jobs, and had a career growth that was crazy out there. So it depends on your journey. If I had to talk about cons, while they are mentioned in the book, I'll just list a few cons that come along with it. One of the cons we discussed was you do not get a secure monthly salary. Whether the economy is good or bad, whether there's a pandemic going on, you still get your salary,
Yes.
right? And you get it on the same day. So
And we hope.
and we hope, yeah. So if you have liabilities that it could be an EMI or things like those, and you feel that you need that stability in your life, freelancing doesn't allow you, especially when you start off, it doesn't allow you a stability like that. Over time your pipeline gets built, so you have a regular stream of income that keeps coming through freelancing. But think about this, that freelancing is it's not as secure as a job salary. Another thing that freelancing, another position that freelancing puts you in, if you are in a job and let's say you are at a senior level, you grow onto a senior level, there's a lot of authority and respect that comes with it. But when you are a freelancer, you are a solo person. No matter, you could have been a COO or a CXO in your last company, and you had a lot of perks and all the other authority and respect that came along with the position that you held. Freelancing doesn't always come with that. You are a salesman that will have to wait for other people outside the conference rooms till the time they finish their meetings and come. So you have to kind of accept the fact that you have to establish yourself as an expert. Your past job expertise doesn't apply to your freelance life. There are other cons. Like I said, there are so many perks that come along with a job. You get your health insurance, you get all those PFs and other benefits that come along with the job. If you want to take days off in your job, you still get paid. You have paid leaves. Yeah, you get health leaves, sickness leaves, and all that. You don't get that in freelance. Each hour or each day that you don't work is counted as the day that you didn't get paid for. It's all unpaid leaves. So in a job, you also have a team that supports you. So it's a joint responsibility generally. But when you are a freelancer, you are an individual contributor. If you deliver great work, good for you. If you deliver bad work, it's going to be challenging for you.
So that is where like I get it. That is all self-awareness that you're talking about. So yeah, one has to actually look in their life if they're looking for security. So like you are sorry, I'm sorry. It's not for them because security will not be there until unless you're like at least from the freelancing point of view, the security will not be there.
Yeah.
Apart from that, if one has a like very egoistic mind, then right, you shouldn't be going to freelancing.
Absolutely.
And the third and the third thing that you said, if you're too much like into the like getting that thing every single month, that comes into security part. But if you're too much into not being waiting for the people that, as you said, outside the conferences and all of that, so one can actually look into their life and figure out.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
So my suggestion is that it's you shouldn't have to jump completely in one single instance. You are working in you are in a job, and the next day you say that declare that okay, I'm a full-time freelancer, I've quit my job. It doesn't work like that. You have to actually phase it into the transformation. You have to have a plan in mind. A lot of people want to be freelancers. One reason why a lot of people don't succeed is because they don't have a strategy while getting into freelancing. They just do it impulsively. Like I said, freelance is a serious business. You need to have a strategy in mind, phase it in. My recommendation is, if you're not sure if freelancing is for you, why don't you start part-time freelancing and then find out, get a taste of it. If it starts working for you, start increasing. And in the book, I have actually mentioned, if you're doing part-time freelancing, when is it the right time to decide to get into freelancing? So
75% of the income. If I talk about income,
let's not give spoilers here.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely check out the book. I really hype like it's. I mean, I have told you before. Like I really wanted to, like, at the end of the book, I really wanted to just send it to people, but but it's really like piece by piece steps. One needs to actually all of that. One actually needs to look at one place. That's it. Not going out of the book. Yeah. Great, man. Great. Thanks a lot. This was really valuable. I feel if someone has watched the whole video, this is like he's gonna be the okay. Let me start doing. Okay, great, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Puneet.
Thank you so much for having me.